As we take a look at us making headlines on the dailies, we have Suna West, Member of Parliament, Honorable Peter Masara, Mandera South, Member of Parliament, Honorable Kore Haro, as well as Matuga, Member of Parliament, Honorable Kasim Tandaza. Gentlemen, a very, very good morning to you. Honorable Tandaza, I'd like to begin with you. Thank you for just joining us. It is a big debate on the finance bill, and Kenyans want to know where the members of Parliament stand. So let's begin with your stand on the finance bill and your thoughts on today's debate.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. I was here a few weeks ago after the first reading of the finance bill, and I'm on record having said that there are some proposals in the finance bill which don't make sense at this point, at this time, which would badly hurt Mwananchi, including me as a Mwananchi. And I said, if it is to come the way it was then, to the floor of the House for debate and voting, I'll vote no. But remember, the finance bill contains a number of amendments and a number of clauses. It's not just one bill. Like what is going to happen today, we'll be voting clause by clause. We debated, clause debate. There are so many amendments which have been brought. Of course, it's a question of moving those amendments, members agreeing yes or no. So for now, those offending clauses, according to me, and that's why I voted yes, first that it can go to the second, it can go for the third reading. Otherwise, now voting no at the second reading for the whole document doesn't make sense. I'll just point out some of the issues which certainly are good for the country. If the bill proposes to amend some sections where we'll make imports more expensive, so that we encourage our own farmers to grow those things, so that we encourage manufacturers to come and manufacture here to create jobs, then that is something I cannot vote no unless probably I've not read the bill. You know, sometimes even after this, you know what happened last time, where members later on claimed that they never read the bill. They could have voted yes or no, but it's because they had not read. So for me, I have gone through the bill and will be voting clause by clause. Fortunately, the clauses which I had initially indicated here on K24 Morning Dawn, initially that I would vote against them, have been removed. So now I think this is a progressive bill. But of course, with amendments, you can be persuaded even on the floor of the House. You know, after an amendment is brought and somebody moves it, you can be persuaded. From a position where I'm saying I'm going to vote with my conscience, which I can explain here, I can explain to the electorate, I can explain to the Gen Z if they want to listen, that look, this is why I voted yes on this clause, because these are the benefits coming out of this bill. All right, and is it, one thing you've mentioned is that some of the tax proposals that you are voting against have since been removed. We'll be looking a lot into that because the anti-tax protests have continued. The protesters are unrelenting that they want the entire finance bill recalled. And some of the issues that have been raised is that some of the proposed measures are likely to cause more harm than good. And so the question is, why don't we revisit prior changes made in the finance bill of 2022-2023, many of which had grave tax implications on Kenyans, individuals and businesses? Many argue that Kenyans haven't had time to really take in the impact of the tax proposals in the last finance bill, which did not meet its intended target. And so is it outrageous, is it undoable that they are calling for a recall or a total rejection of the bill? You see, when you look at that finance bill, it talks of, and this touches everybody, even for those who are going to vote no. I know we are in the period of GSS. Everybody who has been here before that finance bill will go on record and say we don't have enough teachers, they were not prepared, they are not trained teachers. One would say in my constituency, in most of the schools, I have only one teacher. Now, out of those tax measures to raise more revenue is to employ JSS teachers. Surely, who will say we don't need JSS teachers now? And if we are to say we are to remain the way we were with the 2023 bill, then it means we are not going to employ those teachers. Is that what we are asking? You know, at least it's a situation where you are sick, you have gone to the doctor, he has prescribed some medicine for you to get better. If you say, no, I'm not going to take the medicine because before I came here I was not taking medicine, it means you would want to continue being sick. Education is a very important sector. This is an equalizer for everybody. We can argue for us in parliament because most of us might not be in the GSS. We could be having hours doing international curriculum and whatever. But for sure, who can vote against getting more teachers, GSS teachers? Who can vote against turning those intern teachers into permanent teachers? The other day when I was here, it was the time when the teachers, the doctors started striking and the intern teachers went. And we were saying, can we get money to put them in permanent and pensionable? Even the courts agreed. Now we are saying, can we remain the way we are? Are we saying now we want the intern teachers, even for those who are there, to go back to the streets? And remember, even if they go back to the streets, if we have not raised revenue for them, we cannot pay them.
Okay.
So, close by close, I think this is a situation where I think most people are arguing out of ignorance or probably malice.
Okay.
But
so
for sure,
all eyes are on the debate. So it's clear that your stand was no, but that could change.
Of course,
depending on how the debate goes today.
Of course, I've put it very clearly that I'm a very rational member of parliament. I represent my people. Those amendments brought on the floor of the House and moved. And even it happened in the last finance bill. I remember there were amendments which were brought by Millie Odhiambo. I'm on record until a point where I actually rose on a point of order and said, how come that Millie Odhiambo is bringing amendments, and when you are voting yes for them, she's keeping quiet? It's like she's not used to voting yes because probably she was. So this is something that can happen even on the floor of the House.
Honorable Masara,
for sure.
You were on the, or seem to still be on the no campaign with Honorable Tandaza here. What do you make of his stance?
Actually, my colleague is right, but he needs to read the document well. He should only not read the committee report, because from his argument, I'm seeing him arguing from the point of reading the committee report. He's not comparing the actual bill and the committee report who proposes these changes. Let me start from 2022-2023 finance bill. The Treasury did not even achieve their targets. Kenyans are saying that they are unable to make ends meet because of that particular finance bill. Why they want the entire, this one to be withdrawn, so that we can start from the previous one. Areas which they feel were not very friendly to be looked into before we move forward. And I agree with them. Why do I agree with them? If you bring a bill with the purpose of collecting revenue, and you fail to meet the target, you don't continue increasing taxes to the same people who are not able to pay the taxes you gave them in the previous financial year.
Right.
My take is we reject the bill in totality, because even those proposals, none of them talked about the fuel levy. Road maintenance and levy, they are proposing to add 7 shillings. 7 shillings, if you add it on petrol, it will affect electricity cost and even the entire cost of production. That means the burden of producing goods at a higher cost will be given to the consumer, who is the same mwananchi. There is the issue of railways maintenance levy. They are going to increase it from 1.5 to 2.5. You know the effect of that in terms of imports. There is this import declaration fee. It's going to be increased. So, but remember, he's talking about we manufacturing. Kenya is almost 100% importing goods, including toothpicks. We import. So when you increase the importation cost, of course we'll still continue importing. What does that affect? The cost of living will go up. And 2, the worst part of it, we are not going to attract investors. Investors will not come to our country. And then the small economics I know is that when, you know, taxes influences the growth of an economy. Taxes influences the behavior of the people. So when they are high, people will behave differently.
All right. But the opposition now says that their stand is very clear, to totally reject the bill. But the parliamentary process today, you know, in the committee of the whole House is specifically a process of amendments. Won't you be failing your constituents by not proposing any amendments on the floor of the House today?
There's no need of proposing the amendment in a document which has been totally rejected. If a building has been condemned, that this is unfit for human occupation, why do you do repair?
All right.
If this building, today engineers say, this one, you should not stay in it, then you start putting new columns that it will stand the floor. That's a work in fertility. What we need to do now, actually, who do we represent? We represent people, and people have spoken. We need to sit down as a country, look straight into each other's eyes and say, boss, there is an error. Let's go back, sit down, because there's no vacuum.
Okay, so
even if it is withdrawn today, the government can still operate with the Finance Act of 2023 for the next 6 months. It is allowed in the law, and they are able to withdraw 50% of what is supposed to be consumed. It is in the law.
And so the country can run for the next 6 months or so. And those are options we'll be considering. But Honorable Haro, you represent the people of Mandera South, a constituency that has historically been marginalized, so to speak, in Kenya. Critics of the bill say proposals of this bill deepen socio-economic inequalities. You are in support of this bill. In what way does it protect those most vulnerable in your constituency?
As I had told you earlier, I supported this bill to move to the next stage, the committee of the whole House, on the understanding that, you see, just like my honorable colleague, Tandaza, I was prepared to reject the entire bill depending on what the committee report would say. The committee report came out and proposed almost 20, amendments of sections that Kenyans considered offensive that needs to be removed from the bill. And based on that, I said I'll vote yes to allow the bill to go to the next stage. Everything will depend on the debates we are going to have this morning and this afternoon. If those amendments the committee report have proposed to be removed will carry the day, because they can still be rejected on the floor of the House. They can still be rejected and remain as part of the bill at the floor of the House. If those amendments are carried, and my colleagues in the Azimio are also having a number of amendments they are proposing on the floor of the House. All those progressive amendments that are recommended by the other side, we will also support, because of the interest of...
Because as you say, they will not be proposing any amendments. The plan is to totally reject the bill.
I know
amendments from the Kenya Kwanza side, and I'm not sure how much representation.
I know there are quite a number of Azimio MPs who are going to propose amendments on the floor of the House. That one is not doubtable. I can tell you for sure there are those who have amendments on the floor of the House.
All right.
For saying that it has been totally rejected, I think we need to understand that there are two sides to this discourse. There are those who say they want the bill to be totally rejected, but there are those ones who still say, no, we cannot reject the entire bill. Let us amend it and remain with the good perspectives. And all of this will play on the floor of the House today. So it is not correct to say, since it has been rejected. It has been rejected, yes. There are Kenyans who want it to be rejected, but there are Kenyans who also want it to be adopted with amendments. So I'll tell you for a fact that the way I'll vote will depend on what will happen on the floor of the House this afternoon. If all those offensive clauses are removed, and if other amendments are proposed which sound okay, we will support the bill. But if those offensive clauses are not removed, then I can assure you we'll vote no to reject the entire bill.
Okay.
Michelle, I'm losing something from the presentation of Moesh. There's the issue of junior secondary school. Don't try to haggle for our sweets so that we can accept this. The money we lose through corruption, if collected back, can employ junior secondary school teachers.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
then apart from that,
is part of
the lifestyle
the
current government is living, if they can trim it down and cut the coat according to their size, we can employ junior secondary school. Right. Can you compare what has been given to the presidency, the executive office of the president, compared to last year and the other year? Let us just remove that money and employ a junior secondary school. We have given a lot of money to Ministry of Defense. I don't know if we are at war. If we can remove that money, we can still employ junior secondary teachers. If we stop renovating, renovating state house and state lodges, that money is enough.
Austerity measures.
Yes, that money, if we stop buying new vehicles, that money is enough to employ teachers.
When members of parliament propose that, and Kenyans say, totally reject the bill and revisit the one that didn't work in the last financial year, why would you still push for this bill?
Let's look at the finance bill versus the budget that we want to do for this country. Because the finance bill are tax-raising measures, and then there is the other part of the budget, which we call it the, is it too early in the morning, Masara? The one which we passed the other day before the finance bill.
The
appropriations bill.
No, we are discussing it after this.
You see. So, one, I want to start from where Mheshimiwa Masara left. I don't think he's being very truthful that we would want to continue importing simply because it's cheaper to import. Please, let's not mislead those who do not know some bit of economics. I'm glad you said you know some bit of little economics. Certainly, a country cannot develop by relying on imports and saying, since we are getting cheaper imports, then let's continue this way. Remember, when we import in hard currency. Remember where we were 2-3 months ago with our Kenyan shilling versus the hard currencies. And largely that is because of imports. Surely, you put it correctly, we're importing even a toothpick. At what point will we stop importing a toothpick? At what point will we stop importing diapers and sanitary towels, which had brought a lot of, and we have manufacturers here. It is on record.
All right.
We have over 10.
I'm glad you bring up that
10
point.
manufacturers of those items.
That point,
do we still continue importing?
So let me ask the question, because even the concessions that were made by the Kenya Kwanza government, though celebrated, raise a number of questions. A number of very important questions. One is on the issue of the sanitary towels that you bring in, and rightfully so. We must strengthen local manufacturing. I'd like to pose this question, especially to all of you as members of parliament individually. When we retain the equal levy on imported sanitary pads and diapers, and say we're strengthening local manufacturing, do we have structures in place to ensure that those 10 local manufacturing companies can supply the entire country and all the women who are currently suffering from period poverty? That's number one.
Exactly.
Do we have those measures in place?
You know, once the executive brings in their proposal, it goes on for public participation. Public participation, by the way, does not mean it's just for the local people. We have professionals, we have manufacturers, we have all cadres who do their own presentation. I think when the chairman was moving that they are going to amend that section, he was very clear that he had a presentation from the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. And they came with the data that we are over 10 manufacturers, we can supply this, you see. What happens when we import, of course, is put it correctly, it could be cheaper, but of course, we are not assured of quality. But the main idea here is, can we actually generate jobs? Because when we manufacture locally, it's our people who go to work on those industries. When we import, there are people working outside there are spending our hard currency. Of course, we all go outside, and I don't know what we learned from our benchmarking trips. I was in Turkey the other day, and I was talking to the ambassador. How far have you gone in promoting our tea in Turkey? Because he did a presentation where the trading was 90% in favor of Turkey, Kenya 10%. And he said what Turkey has done is that they have put an excise duty on tea at 145%. Why? They actually grow tea in Turkey. They would want to use their own tea. Now, in Kenya here, when we are saying we want to use our own, we want to promote our own, some people come and say, no. Can we continue importing? And yet, if you look at the problem of Gen Z, which I believe probably you'll bring it up, part of it is lack of employment. How are we going to create employment by importing the way we are talking about.
So no women are going to be disenfranchised?
They are going to have a better product, and the women who are bringing in their kids and their fathers like me, they are going to get employment on those manufacturing sector. Remember, the plan of this government was to promote manufacturing. The structures are there. Can you go through the presentation done by the Kenya Association of Manufacturers?
You told us on G2G on fuel is going to work.
Yeah.
Okay. You dropped it without even announcing.
Let's give Honorable Haro. Let's give Honorable Haro.
Just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute to respond to what Masara is saying. Up to yesterday, there were so many amendments from the opposition. Remember, when they voted no on the floor of the House, they had a letter from Sifuna, who had come out in the main media that have given letters to my people, should not think, should not read, just vote no. They all voted no, apart from a few of them, who now they are taking action against a letter. He has it, unless he said he never got a letter from Sifuna. Exactly. So he's not himself. I can assure you, once you have a letter, and you have to keep your job, then you cannot come here and tell me.
No.
And that's a very serious. That is very serious. After the party also said, can you drop all the amendments? Otherwise, the amendments were there, and some of them were.
This conversation.
I just wanted to chip in on the question of structure. You know, you asked whether we have structure, which is capable of supplying.
You represent a community that has especially been hard hit by people of poverty.
Like Mheshimiwa has put it, the Manufacturers Association presented their and they showed the capacity that they have. The sanitary pads that we consume in this country per year is about 800,000 pieces.
Questions have been raised on quality as well.
Yes, about 800,000 pieces. And the current, the 10 manufacturers we have the capacity to produce up to 700 currently. And they just need a little, you know, policy change, like which is proposed by the finance bill, so that they can produce their full capacity of 1.5 million sanitary pads per year.
Where does the cotton come from, the largest raw material?
Well, there are certain raw materials that will come from East African community and other neighboring countries. But the fact is, we have the capacity, if we enable them through policy, to be able to produce fully. But if we don't want that, and we want competitors from China and competitors from other countries to come and take up their jobs and take up everything, so be it. It's the wish of the Kenyans. We listen to the Kenyans.
Okay, we must take a break.
Let me tell you, I'm not agreeing with my two colleagues. Remember the issue of sanitary pad. The government, for the last 2 years, has been supplying it. Why did they give that money to the local manufacturers to manufacture that thing? Because check the last 3 years' budgets, government has been budgeting for sanitary pads for school-going children.
All right.
The first initiative to empower local manufacturers was for the government to give the money to the local manufacturing company to start producing it. Instead, the government themselves imported. All right. It is on record, Minister of Education.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break, gentlemen. We'll be back with this conversation, which is of interest, and a lot more. But let's take a break here on New Dawn. When we come back, we focus on that round 2 of Occupy Parliament protests set to take place in the country today. The organizers calling it a total shutdown of the country in protest of the finance bill of 2024. It is a day when personal interest means political responsibility for members of parliament. We'll be discussing that and the options for the Kenya Kwanza government on the other side of the break. Just stay with us.
When it's a Saturday, there's only one entertainment show in East